In today's episode, I will be sharing with you my experience about podcasting. My 1 year experience about podcasting, whether it was good, whether it was lovely, whether it was devastating, whether it was beautiful. Let's figure out in this episode. So let's not wait anymore. Get into my experience. It all starts with listening to the podcast 3 years back while browsing internet. And when I listened to the podcast, it was like listening to the radios, and it was a beautiful experience for me to listen and understand. After knowing about the podcast world, I did dive into it. I used to listen while I was driving, I used to listen while I was walking, I used to listen after I wake up, before I go to bed. All the time I used to listen to the podcast because I love listening to stuffs, and that really intrigued me. So the next question that arises is, why did I start podcasting? Before telling about podcasting, let me introduce my podcast. It is Life with Self. Life with Self is nothing but dealing with yourself and dealing with others. Whether it is mental health, whether it is physical health, whether it is emotional health, it is all about dealing with yourself. It might be the self-improvement aspects, it might be personal development aspects, it might be minimalism, it might be controlling your mind, it might be building confidence, anything and everything related to dealing with yourself and dealing with others. Whether it is internal or external, you got it covered. So this is A Life with Self. So if you want to check it out, link will be in the show notes below. It is available on all the podcasting services, whether it is Apple Podcast, Google Podcast or Spotify. So coming back to the question, why did I start podcasting? I always loved talking in front of the camera. I always loved listening to the podcast. From my childhood, I had to face a lot of consequences in my life, whether it is depression or whether it is mental health or whether it is self-improvement or self-development. I always relied on Google and YouTube. I used to watch a lot of videos. I used to read a lot of blogs related to mental health, and I gained a lot of it. And thinking about that, I thought maybe if I create a YouTube video, maybe that will help a lot of people out there. But I wasn't comfortable enough in front of the YouTube as I am now. That is when podcast came in. Podcast was like, I love talking in front of the mic. I am very much confident in front of the mic without cameras on. So I thought maybe this is the platform that I need to go. Maybe this is the platform that is for me. So that is why I picked podcast rather than YouTube. I still remember my first episode. I was very much confused. I was very much scared. I did not have any script, but I did record it and it felt so good for me. I was 100% sure that this was the thing that I should do. And I was very happy to listen my own voice. I was very happy to listen my stuff for the first time. For me, every time I don't like my work. I don't know for what reason. I don't feel satisfied with my work. I don't feel it is enough. I don't feel it is worth it. But for the first time after listening to my podcast, I felt that, okay, I was very happy. Yeah, I am very happy. I was proud of myself. This thing got me more interested towards podcasting. I started recording more episodes, and starting it was very hard for me. Starting recording each and every single episode, I used to make hell lot of mistakes than now. Being a typical Indian guy, it was very hard for me to speak English fluently at starting, and that was the challenges that I faced. And recording the episodes was a little bit hard. I did not know which to keep and which not to keep. But the one thing is that I did not share it with anybody out there. It was like an experimental project for me. I wanted to test out with that whether it works for me or not. Until and unless if I like that, I like it 100%. I did not want it to share it with people out there. Even till now, I do not share my podcast much, but I love doing it. Before this, I wasn't confident enough to speak the language so much fluently with good accent, but now I can. And this has improved my language, this has improved my content, this has improved the way I deliver my speech or my talking, and listening to it more than 10 to 15 times while editing an episode, those things that I've said will stay on my mind, and that helped me a lot. And if you are planning to start off your own podcast, then don't think twice. If you are a talking person who loves to talk in front of the mic, who loves to share your experiences in front of the mic, who loves to share your knowledge in front of the mic, then I think you must go for it, because podcasting is not daunting as YouTube. YouTube, you can see people's comments, you can see people talking about you. You will be more pressurized with it, and a lot of people know about YouTube, but podcasting, only few people know about it. And you don't have a camera in front of you, you don't need lights hitting your face, and it's a simple and a beautiful setup, not much complicated like YouTube, but it is very worth it, and you will enjoy the podcasting journey. So I hope this episode has helped you. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you learned something new out of this episode. And if you didn't listen to my podcast yet, then please do check out Life Itself at any podcasting services, whether it is Apple Podcast or Google Podcast or Spotify or any other podcasting services. So please do listen to it, and I will see you in the next episode. Until then, bye-bye, take care. You are watching Life Itself, and I'm your host, Deemu Bhardwaj. See you in the next episode.